If a king cannot protect himself, how is he to protect others?
A pity. There is another alternative. Or there would be, had you only mastered your abilities.
Darkness and silence through the night.
That magic is a royal disappointment.
What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you.
I need no other reason.
What a fear in my heart. But you're so supreme. Yes. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Welcome to another comparison video featuring the caster DPS jobs of Final Fantasy XIV, the Black Mage, Red Mage and Summoner, and their current position and state inside the recent expansion Shadowbringers. As my general disclaimer to this topic, my opinion is drawn completely out of FFLog's data or dialogue with active Savage Raiders, so this still may be a very subjective point of view. Above that, always keep in mind that every content can be cleared and enjoyed by any job you choose, except Blue Mage. Starting with the damage output. Here we have to take into account the personal DPS and raid DPS, which refers to the damage you deal by yourself plus the boost you grant to your party to increase the party's raid DPS. According to this chart from FFLogs, we can see a clear power difference which ultimately prefers the Black Mage, because that already is our DPS, already calculating the missing support of the Black Mage into the raid DPS. And as you can see, the Summoner also has quite a lead towards his Red Hat workmate, so that point definitely goes to our DPS king, the Black Mage. But of course, when it comes to clear content, not everything depends on raw damage, so another trait can be very useful to reach a solid form of progression, which is the supporting ability of each caster. Starting with the simple fact that Black Mage has no support at all. In the past he could give healers MP through a roll command, but that has been removed since the launch of Shadowbringers, so he has to make a deal with only raw damage. The big deal above all these healing potency boosts or MP regen etc. are the Summoners and Red Mages' raising abilities, which tower them above all other jobs regarding support abilities. These raising abilities can make any form of content much easier and establish the Red Mage or Summoner as tremendous jobs to help out your friends or other players that are fairly new to raid mechanics or dungeons, and furthermore can prevent whole wipes from happening when all healers have met their end. Of course, when it comes to speed kills in Savage content or FFLog's percentile grinding, these abilities are not worth any penny, but for the average gaming experience in any form of endgame, this is a phenomenal tool to grant your group the flexibility and survivability no other job can provide. Though being precisely that the Red Mage can push out raises more flexible and more often than the Summoner, and being the only DPS job with a healing ability, the Summoner has this little advantage in DPS and movability. What makes this point a draw between red and green? The next category is the utility, which means access to tools that help your job or your group in keeping a solid uptime and upholding the rotation while the fight turns into a chaotic dance battle or Mario adventure. Even when the Black Mage has received an insane amount of tools to fight against his inertia, I would still prefer Red Mage and Summoner in this category. Of course, if you play the Black Mage flawlessly and know every mechanic and its timing, the new possibilities and tools the Black Mage received in Shadowbringers may place you right beside the other two caster jobs. But the difference in difficulty to reach that goal is so huge that I personally cannot put them onto an equal podium. On the other hand, the Red Mage and the Summoner perform on a very similar level. The Red Mage has many OGCDs, a gap closer and back jump, as well as every second spell he weaves in being an instant spell. That can be timed perfectly into any form of movement. While the summoner has even more OGCDs and 2 cycles that remove the cast time of any spell he casts, plus the advantage of having not much loss of potency when choosing the Rune 2 instead of Rune 3, if needed. That makes him flexible in any situation. Personally, the summoner feels a bit more agile due to the melee combo that forces the red mage to engage close quarter combat, that for example in Eureka or at A or S ranks can be a dangerous situation. But against that, he has the ability to prevent his own demise through Vercure in any form of these situations to keep the fight and with it the uptime on the boss forwards. So both seem to have a fantastic uptime, nearly the same like Bard, Mechanist or Dancer, and subjectively a bit more than a Black Mage has. The next category somehow combines all of these previously mentioned job traits into one aspect, the current meta and how the spots are filled. The current speed and DPS meta is mostly filled with Monk and Dragoon combos, together with a Bard or Mechanist, and the 4th place being a caster to get access to the whole setup bonus of base stats. And of course, the high rank slots are nearly always filled with a Black Mage at the caster position, but to actually get there and to clear the content on the first hand, Red Mage and Summoner will always be amazing due to their raising abilities to keep on the fight and continue the learning process for the whole group. I personally can deal the same amount of DPS with my Summoner like I do with my Black Mage, and that is mainly due to the difficulty difference both have. So if you want to use the full potential of the DPS King, practice, patience and theory crafting is demanded like in no other occasion of this game. That means if playing a more flexible and natively more easy job on a very solid level will definitely provide more advantages to you and your group than grinding through a job that does not fit into your playstyle or the strategies of your static. Nonetheless, enrage vibes are a common problem many groups are experiencing, and bringing a 13 or 14k Black Mage DPS into the battle will definitely help out with that problem. And due to the summoner's raising potential and being a bit stronger than the fancy redhead, he's another source of power to push your group into serious progress. So these points go to Summoner and Black Mage. When it comes to AoE damage and dungeon handling, Shadowbringers really smashed the Summoner's predominance and provided Black and Red Mage both a fitting answer to packed groups or ad phases. That on paper will always put the Black Mage in the first place, but his heavy casting times for Flare or proc dependency can sometimes be a big disadvantage when having a heavy group AoE damage and enemies are dying like mayflies. That makes Summoner and Red Mage way more flexible when it comes to clearing adds or staying inside the AoE battle. Above that, the Summoner still is the only one of the caster DPS who has an insane multi-dot potential, or shines at 2 or 3 targets that are stacked and especially if they are divided. The best example is Titania Extreme, with 3 big adds that can individually be overdrawn with dots, and through insane possibilities to reset Tri-Disaster, this can be done in no time. Sometimes granting a peak DPS of 22 to 24k in that phase, which heavily outperforms the other 2. Of course, the Summoner still has a little weakness to deal with low HP adds in the blink of an eye, but due to the changes to his rune spells, no longer being dependent on dots on the target, he can easily smash lesser foes. His best feature, which makes him my personal AoE favorite, is his possibility to prepare his rotation for heavy AoE breakdowns, by holding back Bahamut for some time or preparing a Firebird trance to burn adds to his Cinder. So my AoE heart still beats for the Summoner, with the above mentioned arguments and maybe some devotion to Bahamut. The last category, which you definitely should value a lot because it is essential for all the above mentioned categories, is the difficulty level of each caster job. Starting with the statements I mentioned earlier, the Black Mage really is a difficult job, if not the most difficult among all of them, at least for getting the DPS results you are aiming for. Which directly leads us to the Summoner, that receives his difficulty level not from the idea of the job, but from the badly designed system that offers weak spots for any form of engine errors or latency issues. The best example and the community's biggest concern is the Bahamut phase, which actually delays the reaction time of Bahamut by a longer time than it should, which makes a workaround necessary that heavily complicates the rotation and the battle system. I personally found a solid balance between a small DPS loss versus a really comfortable way of executing the rotation. So I still feel way more comfortable with the Summoner than I do with the Black Mage, but nonetheless, the Summoner became very complex when aiming for a good DPS output. In any case or choice of rotation for both of these jobs, the Red Mage plays and feels way more straightforward and can easily be adapted by any new player. For example, the theory I needed to explain to provide a solid foundation nearly took me half the time than I needed for explaining the one of Summoner or Black Mage. So if you are a rookie just diving into that game and having problems with the complex battle system, the Red Mage definitely is your way to go, if you have already leveled another job to 60 to get access to the Red Mage. So this point clearly goes to the Fancy Fencer. That means, according to this list and the arguments behind it, the Summoner wins the game with 4 points. And that is mainly my own opinion, of course, but also a basic principle to justify my opinion precautionarily. While the Black Mage and Red Mage still provide the best traits on their best categories, like being the most difficult but most rewarding job in the case of the Black Mage, or the Red Mage being a beginner-friendly job providing still enough DPS and contribution to progress to clear any form of content and being a valuable part of any static group, the Summoner somehow stands in between them. Which means he doesn't deal the most damage while also not being the easiest to play, but at a decent difficulty level he easily replaces bad Black Mages and with a little more effort will always replace the Red Mage in any form of content. Except some solo challenges maybe. So choosing the job heavily depends on your own level of effort you're going to put into that game. The ones with full dedication and patience for practice and theory crafting should choose the Black Mage. Those with the opposite, having a beginner-friendly experience, maybe are more comfortable with the Red Mage. And those in between that cannot find their effort like me should take the Summoner's direction. But always remember, the best Red Mage will still outperform the 95% of Black Mages out there. So make a wise decision or just level them up altogether and participate in the benefit of changing jobs from time to time. I hope you could get a good impression of the current power level of our dear caster jobs and have to thank you for watching this video. What is your personal favorite among these caster jobs? Tell me about your opinion in the comment section, and if you like this video, share your love for Final Fantasy and subscribe to my channel, or check out my other videos, for example the job guides for these 3 caster jobs. See you in the next video and keep weaving spells and more. Until next time, take care.